Give yourself permission to explore and go along on a path, on a journey, ebb and flow, just like the ocean does, and realize that sometimes the tide will go in and sometimes it will go out. But at the end of the day, it is a journey, it's not a destination. And you're always growing, you're always evolving, you're always learning, and that's the process of life.
Fall in love with you if you would allow me to slip inside your mind and swim away. We could hold our breath a while, just let go and drown in style. Feel love washing over our face.
She's the singer-songwriter who's making a difference by doing things differently. A successful independent artist, Verity's unique approach has been internationally hailed as a musical revolution.
So sink or swim, 'cause it's love we are in. You can fight it or go with the flow and breathe it in. Let it give you wings. Take us wherever it is love goes.
I always say to people that I didn't choose music, it chose me.
By selling her first album even before she recorded it, this talented musician has found an innovative way to overcome the financial constraints faced by many aspiring performers. Comfortable before live audiences that number in the thousands today, it's hard to believe that a painful childhood memory almost put paid to her performing ambitions.
Growing up, I had big dreams, and right through my childhood I was always telling everyone how I was going to go to Hollywood, and I think I was quite vocal about that dream, and I ended up getting the lead in the school play, which for me was a dream come true and felt like the start of a career in acting.
Verity soon realized, though, that the glare of success sometimes breeds envy and isolation.
I remember having this feeling of getting this thing that I really wanted, of being so excited that I'd gotten the part that I wanted, and turning around and seeing the disapproval on so many of my friends' faces. It was pretty instant how a lot of the children in the class completely turned on me. It broke me because I just thought, well, I would rather not have this thing that I really wanted if it means that they're not going to like me anymore. And I was prepared to put that down and walk away from it so that I could keep people close to me. And yeah, it did. It felt like everything that was glimmering just dimmed.
Verity was left with paralyzing stage fright. As time slipped by, an overwhelming fear, not of failure, but rather of success, meant that she chose to sit it out at auditions.
It was only years later that I realized at that point, at 14 years old, I made an agreement with myself, was that if you stand out in life and if you do well, if you shine, you're going to be alone. So from that point, I started playing a much smaller game.
While she'd outwardly given up on her dream, something quite unexpected happened on her 20th birthday. It was to change her future forever.
Out of nowhere, I had words start coming to me, and they wouldn't go away, so I found a piece of paper. I thought, I'm just going to write this down and just get it out the way and carry on thinking about my life. And when I finished writing that, it was a full page, and I looked at it and I just knew. I knew they were lyrics.
Over the next few years, Verity's latent talents as a songwriter began to gradually emerge. But she suppressed what she knew to be her true calling and opted to get a university degree instead.
After finishing university, I went to London, and I traveled a bit, and was really kind of starting to step into being a young adult, and got the phone call that no one ever wants to get. I remember getting the phone call that my dad was really ill and that he'd had a stroke. And my whole world came crashing down. I was on the other side of the world in London and having to get on a plane within 3 hours to get home, and the longest flight of my life, just not knowing if he was going to be alive when I got here.
And I think it was horrendous for Verity, because she was in England and had to have a whole flight with this knowledge of whether he'd even be alive when she got there, which she did very bravely and arrived, and we still had another week with him.
Following her father's death, life seemed to pass by in a painful blur.
I don't think you're ever ready to lose a parent. And at 24 years old, it just felt too soon. All the things that he wasn't going to be there for. And so it was a big turning point in my life, just really getting how fragile life is. My dad was, he was a visionary. He was one of those people who always saw the big picture, saw the possibilities. And we say, if life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And it was only looking, when I looked back once I'd left school, that I understood how much he'd done that.
Inspired by Paulo Coelho's book, The Pilgrimage, Verity decided to do a solo trek across Spain to honor and celebrate her dad's wonderfully adventurous and pioneering spirit.
With my backpack and a little translation book, I headed off for a 5-week walk, 800 kilometers by myself across Spain, really as a way to walk through my grief, to physically let go of the pain that I was feeling.
Her Spanish expedition gave her ample time for inner reflection, and she credits this life-transforming journey as a crucial milestone in her path towards adulthood.
The girl who started at the beginning of Spain definitely met the woman that I've grown up to be when I got to the other side, because I'd learnt about taking one step at a time, and that on the days that it's sore, you just go at the pace that you can go, and on the days you're feeling strong, you run, and on the days when you need to rest, you rest.
The thing she came back with was realizing that her pace is the pace she can do, and she can't do other people's paces, and she had to learn to go into a rhythm of meeting lovely people who wanted to move faster than her or didn't want to move as fast as her, and learning within a week or so how to let go and just walk her own walk. When things get really hectic for her, she'll always refer back and go, you know what, I could walk 800 kilometers by myself in my own time, in my own way. I can do this.